Today on Monkey Life, James travels to Germany to meet a baby orangutan in need of a new home.
Very cheeky looking orangutan, very playful, looks like he's going to be full of bags of energy.
New chimpanzee Toprish shows she's learning how to interact with her own kind.
Toprish was great then, she was respecting her by panting at her but just keeping a distance and didn't go up to her.
And the spider monkeys have a really good time searching for breakfast. Monkey World in Dorset, buried deep in the English countryside, is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. A team, led by Dr. Alison Cronin, rescue and rehabilitate abused and unwanted primates from all over the world.
Just trying to make him happy and comfortable, and we'll see how we can achieve that.
The park provides a home for more than 260 monkeys and apes from 24 different species. On the banks of the River Rhine, a few kilometres north of Dusseldorf, lies the city of Krefeld. And that's where primate care team member James and colleague George are headed. They're on their way to meet a baby in need of a new home. The pair have spent 8 hours on the road via the Channel Tunnel. Their destination is Krefeld Zoo, established 80 years ago in the Westphalia region of Germany, close to the Dutch border.
Hello, good morning.
Hello,
nice
Eva.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Eva,
How are you?
hi.
Hi.
Typical English weather? Oh.
Yeah, this is George.
Hi, Eva, nice to meet you. Yeah.
Eva is one of the keepers. And she's the main carer for this little chap, Hujan, a 21-month-old young male orangutan who was born at the zoo. Hujan is the reason James and George are in Germany, and he's definitely worth the trip. When Hujan was born, his mother developed complications and was too ill to look after him. Staff stepped in to hand-rear him until she was better, but when he was given back, his mum rejected him. Hujan went on to spend time with his grandma, but didn't manage to fit in with the rest of the group. Consequently, the European breeding programme contacted Monkey World for help, and the team agreed to take him on.
The group we're going to try him in first of all, we call it Twan's group. Twan's a big male, but he likes kids. He plays with kids, which is strange, isn't it? But in this group, we have Awan, little playmate, and then we have 3 females. 2 of them are really, really good with many orphans over the years, one called Ame and one called Lucky.
We are so happy.
I'm very, very hopeful it will work. So.
Before James can get to meet Hujan, the zoo's vet wants to check the infant over. He's had a slight cold in recent days, and she wants to make 100% certain that he's fit to travel.
You want a hat?
Everything's fine.
The vet is happy. Hujan is given the all-clear to make the journey to Dorset.
I don't know why.
But to get there safely, he'll need to travel in a transport box throughout the journey. And the keepers have been crate training him for this over the past few weeks.
Got a present for you, Hujan. I don't know what you think of it.
To get Hujan used to the crate, it's been set up in his bedroom. For the next 2 days, James will interact with the little orangutan in order to bond with him and gain his trust.
You're gonna beat me up.
This will be vital when the youngster arrives at Monkey World and is confronted with unfamiliar faces and surroundings. Hujan isn't shy and is already responding positively to James. It seems bonds are already starting to develop.
There's a laugh. There's a... Everything's gone really, really well so far. Very cheeky looking orangutan, very playful, looks like he's going to be full of bags of energy. And so I'm sure he'll go down well with some of our adult females back at Monkey World.
Hujan is left to rest while Eva gives James a tour of the ape complex, which also houses gorillas and chimpanzees. But James's priority is finding out more about Hujan's immediate family. This youngster is his uncle. And this is Hujan's grandmother, Leah. She now has a baby of her own.
So this is the one that looked after Hujan for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fact that Hujan has some experience of living with adult orangutans will help when he gets to Dorset. James takes the opportunity to learn as much from Ava as possible about his behaviour, routines, and his general diet and health.
I'm just taking some notes about Hujan, so I'm just writing down feeding habits and anything I can find out about him, basically, so that when we get back to Monkey World, we'll know how to look after him as best as possible.
It's been a long but successful day. Tomorrow, James will be back for another bonding session with Hujan, who seems a real bundle of fun and energy. The staff at Monkey World are constantly coming up with new and innovative ideas to keep the 260 primates in their care busy, stimulated and active. Today, there's a strange, large object being wheeled into the spider monkey enclosure. They'll have never seen anything quite like it before, and it should perk up the 3 residents.
Today we've got a really big wheel for the spider monkeys. We're going to weave the branches around the outside of it, put breakfast in and see what happens. They like exploring new things. Flint in particular gets quite excited about new exciting things, and Pumpkin finds new things quite funny. So we're not quite sure how they're going to react to it, but it's always nice to keep them on their toes and do something nice and new for them.
Spider monkeys are arboreal, which means in the wild they live their lives off the ground in the trees of their natural habitat. To try and replicate this behaviour, the care team need to get the large cable drum suspended in the air. No easy feat. Spider monkeys can be a little cautious, but if the reward is high enough, their curiosity will get the better of them. And this breakfast of sticky honey and raisins should be very tempting. It's a race between Pumpkin and Flint to get to the enclosure, with Pumpkin getting there first. They're both a little wary of the alien object, which has suddenly appeared in the middle of their home. Pumpkin is very food-focused and makes the first move, suspending herself using her strong prehensile tail. She quickly strips out a few of the branches before reaching in, and immediately makes short work of the cup of treats. Flint has also managed to grab himself a cup and picks out the raisins, watched intently by the oldest in the group, Hickory. Pumpkin goes back for seconds. She's discovered the wheel moves, and so uses her tail to suspend herself in the air, keeping her feet free to spin the drum round to get to the cups. Hickory's patience pays off. A discarded cup still has honey inside, and he makes the most of it. Flint demonstrates his strength and agility is just as good as Pumpkin's. Although it's Pumpkin who's done most of the hard work today, all 3 spider monkeys have managed to share the sticky breakfast. But for greedy Pumpkin, it's never quite enough. Many of the primates have lived at the park for the majority of their lives, but one of the most recent arrivals is still trying to settle in. Young chimp Toprish was stolen from the wild for the pet trade in Turkey. She's had very little experience with her own kind and has limited knowledge of basic chimp etiquette. The team's ambition is for her to become part of a large social group and join Bart's gang. Her lack of chimp manners has been evident during introductions, but her carers have persevered. They've been allowing her to meet others through the cage mesh so she can get used to them. And at last, Toprish is starting to make progress.
She's doing brilliantly. She's showing so much more chimp behaviour now than she was when she first came here. We've seen more that she's pant-hooting when people come in, that she recognises the voice, and panting and holding her hands out to people, which is what she should be doing, which is great. We've seen her grooming other chimps now, which was a massive step forward, because, again, grooming is the sort of all-important thing to building your place in the hierarchy. So the fact that she's doing that now is a massive step forward. She's just got to learn the sort of more subtle bits of etiquette, but that'll come. You know, she's young. It's all positive so far.
Toprish has formed a pretty good relationship with Pepper, and this morning, Chatter, who she's also met before, is joining the pair in the bedrooms. Toprish displays perfect chimp etiquette, making the right noises and presenting herself submissively to Chatter. In fact, things are going so well, the team decide to introduce another chimp who's been waiting in the wings. 38-year-old female Clin, who was rescued from a laboratory.
Clin's confident. She's been here for years. Fairly laid-back character, so hopefully she'll be more. I think she's going to be more interested in the food, like Chatter was when she just went in. So, fingers crossed.
At first, it's mesh contact only. Toprish is beginning to understand how these things work. She meets Clin face to face with absolutely no aggression. It's a far cry from the initial introductions when she first arrived. Hannah decides to go a step further and open the slide to let the two meet.
Right, everyone ready? Yep. I think Clin might go on.
Chatter and Clin demonstrate a perfect chimp greeting. Chatter is submissive because Clin is a high-ranking female in the group. It's a good lesson for Toprish, and she follows their lead. By holding back and not charging in, she's showing that over the last 2 months, she started to recognise and learn how chimps conduct themselves in social situations.
Toprish was great then. She was respecting her by panting at her, but just keeping a distance and didn't go up to her.
Eventually, Clin comes through, offering her arm. And Toprish responds exactly how she should when confronted by a higher-ranking chimp. She's submissive. It's just what Hannah was hoping for.
It's going to take time to get her in with the whole group, but I certainly think we're on the right track.
This is a great progression for Toprish. Her background means she's had to learn chimp behaviour and etiquette from scratch, and it's not been easy. But today was definitely a step in the right direction. It's been 6 weeks since Alison rescued 2 marmosets being kept in appalling conditions at a flat in Caterham. Caesar and Bud are the latest in a long line of marmosets to arrive at the park as a result of the British pet trade. Many from a similar environment. It's left the park full to the brim.
It is a real issue that we have so many marmosets at the park, but we can't obviously leave them in their situation that they were in before either, so this is obviously a better life for them than they had.
The 2 newbies are sharing facilities with another pair of marmosets, taking it in turns to use the large outside enclosure until a more permanent solution can be found. Today, primate carekeeper Keris is putting out feeders filled with raisins, a tasty and much-loved treat. But they'll have to work to reach them.
They seem interested in everything that we give them. They're very willing to try out new things. At the start, even feeding them bugs was a little bit hard because I don't think they'd ever really had bugs, but they've grown to absolutely love them, and now especially Bud, he is just all over the mealworms, so he's loving that. They do get involved and try use it as much as they can, so it's really nice to see for us as well.
The team are pretty certain that, until arriving at the park, the pair had never been outside in the fresh air and sunshine. And it's made a remarkable difference to their general well-being. Their coats are looking so much better, and both are far more confident and less withdrawn in their new surroundings. Caesar, the larger of the duo, is a Jeffroy's marmoset, with a white face and dark tufts. He seems quite at home among the branches outside, nimbly reaching down into the feeder to grab a raisin. Bud is a common marmoset, a different species slightly smaller in size to a Jeffroy's. They may be different, but they have established a great relationship together.
Bud kind of doesn't go anywhere without seeing Caesar. Even if Bud didn't want to come outside for the first couple of times, he had to because Caesar was straight out and they don't like being separated. So, well, especially Bud, he's very attached to Caesar.
Caesar and Bud seem happy and settled in their new home. But the appalling conditions in which they were found are all too common. With no more space at the park and the pet trade in marmosets continuing, something needs to change soon. It's been 3 months since gibbon Kitty cheated death. Her heart stopped during an investigation under anaesthetic into her rapid weight loss.
Still really, really low. We need a bit of atropine.
The team revived her, but following the drama, the results were inconclusive and there's been no real improvement in her condition. In fact, she seems to be getting worse, and her appearance is a stark contrast to how she looked only a year ago.
Kitty is still a very active gibbon. She's still very talkative, as always. The biggest concern that we've noticed, a real change in the last sort of 2 weeks, really, is that she's lost nearly all of her body hair. She looks really awful because she's obviously quite thin underneath. We've been giving her lots of supplemental feeds to try and build that body weight back up. But she does look a lot worse at this point because a lot of her hair's actually fallen out. So some of that is a little bit aesthetic because we're used to this big ball of fluff that is Kitty.
Until the team get to the bottom of what's wrong, life for Kitty goes on. She lives with agile gibbon Paul, her long-term partner since 2004. Today, they're getting some tasty treats, pomegranates full of juicy seeds, plus red peppers and tamarinds, an unfamiliar hard-shelled fruit. Some are hidden in socks to make the pair work that little bit harder for their meal. Kitty is first out. Despite her appearance, she's still blessed with considerable grace and mobility, and she heads straight for the peppers. Frustratingly, the first piece doesn't come easily, although it doesn't take long for her to find a more straightforward option. Agile gibbon Paul bides his time before deciding which snack to choose first. Fruit makes up the largest proportion of the diet of most gibbons. In the wild, it's less sweet and lower in sugar, and they have to work hard and travel far to find the fruiting trees. At Monkey World, they only get a small proportion of fruit in their diet. Paul has got a taste for the tamarinds. His long canines and sharp teeth have no trouble getting through the hard outer shell to the sweet, fibrous pulp inside. Kitty decides to investigate what's inside the socks. She wastes no time unhooking one, opening it up, and nibbling at the tamarind inside. Paul's approach is totally the opposite. He plays with his breakfast before heading off to find easy pickings elsewhere. It's wonderful to see the pair moving freely and tackling their food with enthusiasm, but it doesn't hide the fact that something isn't quite right with Kitty. The team are determined to find out what's causing the dramatic change in her appearance, but to do that, she may well have to be anaesthetised again. It's a worrying time for her carers. At Krefeld Zoo in Germany, Monkey World keeper James has returned for a second day to continue bonding with orangutan Hujan, a young infant looking for a new family. 21 months old, Hujan has been hand-reared since birth, after being rejected by his mum. The team at Krefeld tried to integrate him into another group, but that didn't work, so Monkey World have stepped in to rehome him with one of their families.
Maybe you go now inside
Yep.
and feed Hujan with a bottle inside the crate. So you need to go a little bit with your arm inside.
Yep.
Just go inside.
Over the years, Monkey World has had huge success looking after rescued and orphaned orangutans.
Good morning.
And James is confident Hujan will be no different.
Got a really good feeling that he's going to fit into Tuan's group. He's absolutely perfect, really. He's got bags of confidence, climbing all over the place, eating and feeding well. He's just non-stop, so I think he's going to be a right little character, really.
The orangutan nursery at the park is full at the moment. And as Hujan has had experience of living with adult orangutans in the past, the plan is for him to join Tuan's group.
Good boy, Hujan.
The youngster lived for a while with his grandmother, and it's hoped he will settle in well with some of Tuan's females. Ame, Lucky and Roro have all been excellent aunties and foster mums in the past. Hujan's German keeper Ava takes James to observe him in the outside enclosure. He displays great confidence for his age and is happy to keep himself occupied. He's clearly independent, a hopeful sign that he'll fit in well with an adult group.
Eva and the team have been doing this with him for a little while each day, just so that he's still getting used to higher heights with the climbing sort of side of things. As you can see, he's a very confident little climber behind us at the moment. There's quite a little bit of height on this. He's doing really well.
James soaks up as much background info as he can, including details about Hujan's diet.
What would you like? Is there a specific weight of this altogether? 500 gram or no? Just a selection in a box.
And I give 2 parts of vegetable and 1 part of fruit. So
yeah, similar. Do you ever give them any protein as opposed to like nuts and seeds?
Also
like...
eggs.
Oh yeah, we do eggs too.
Orangutans also like as chicken, cooked chicken.
Yeah, we do that too. Some of them prefer the eggs, some of them prefer the chicken, but they always eat it.
Eva will be travelling to the UK with Hujan to help get him settled. But it's important for James to establish a close bond with him, as he'll be one of the team looking after him at the park. In the wild, he would still be living with Mum for at least another 5 years, so he needs someone to turn to until he forms bonds with his new group. It's time for this little fella to get some shut-eye. Tomorrow is going to be a long day, and the first day of the rest of his life with a new family. Next time on Monkey Life. Alison makes a vow after a chimp she and Jim first tried to rescue from a circus in Thailand 15 years ago resurfaces.
I'm gonna do everything I can to get that chimp out of there. And always over my shoulder will be Jim.
And Hananya's group try camellia flowers for the first time. But they're not a hit with everyone.